Hi, my name's Caleb. I am a keys player here at the International House of Prayer. I play with the worship leader Corey Asbury, and alongside Bob Powers make up the band Pas Neos. Today I'm going to be doing a basic overview of my keys setup in Ableton Live. Just a little preface, if you are unfamiliar with Ableton, I recommend you YouTube some tutorials of Ableton or use the lessons that come alongside the program if you've already purchased it or if you've downloaded the demo. Or else this video is probably not going to make a whole lot of sense or be that applicable. And in the future I'm going to be doing more videos in different aspects of Ableton and my keys setup, different plugins, different effects. But today I'm going to be sticking mostly just to the overview of what I'm doing in my basic key setup. This is my basic live scene. You can see immediately over on the left I have all of my audio clips, and over on the right I have all of my tracks for my plugins. And just something I do a little differently than other keyboard players is I put all of my clips in one scene instead of creating a new scene per song or cycle loop. And the reason I do that is because we play 6 times a week and you don't always know what song's coming next, so I found it helpful to have all of the clips right there at your fingertips. So starting with the plugins, the first one, which really isn't a plugin, Reason, I use this for a lot of synths and pads, but I usually just leave up the piano sound because this is the main piano sound I use. I'll do videos later on about how I do my piano setup, because I could talk 20 minutes on how I set up the piano, but for now I just pan 2 different patches, hard left and right, and put reverb on one of them and EQ on the other, and then run some basic EQ and compression in live, and what it creates is a nice bright sound. I know the quality is not super great for the video because I'm just recording with a room mic, but you can still hear kind of the brightness and the tone. I use that piano sound for most songs where we have full band stuff because it cuts through nicely. The next plugin in my setup you can see here is called Alicia's Keys, and I use this piano to offset the bright piano. It's a little bit of a darker piano, and it really has some nice kind of deep, almost darker tone to it. And I use this piano more when it's just the piano and no other band, or maybe just one other instrument playing, like I've been doing it on the new Bethel song, The God I Look to You. Just because it has a nice resonance to it. I probably end up only using it about 20% of the time, but it's nice to have a piano that kind of offsets the Reason bright piano. The next plugin is Omnisphere, and the thing about Omnisphere that I love is it has 8 banks right here that you can have 8 sounds loaded in, and I've just found it really helpful because you don't have to be pulling out a bunch of sounds. You can leave kind of your favorite ones, and so I take advantage of that setup. And the first channel of sounds I always have assigned just to a basic pad sound. Just putting some movement on it. And the reason I do that is because it's just helpful to have a pad sound that you can jump to at any point. A lot of times in the set you'll just randomly crash out or need atmosphere, and just to have a pad sound there that you don't have to dial up is really nice. And then I use the other 4 MIDI sends to whatever I need in the moment. Right now I just have kind of a basic, kind of a belly or tinnier sound kind of dialed up there, and then I have a string patch here, and the 4th channel is blank. And I know some people use up to 8 MIDI sends. I normally only use 4 and then just dial in different sounds at different times. But really like Omnisphere a lot. That kind of with Reason is probably the main sound banks as far as the sounds I'm pulling out in sets. I'm going to skip the next plugin just for time's sake. It's B4 by Electric Piano. It's just a great sounding organ sound. I'm probably going to do a video on that in the future. Next plugin is Electric Piano, And this is just a great realistic sounding Rhodes. And just a nice pure sound. It sounds a lot like either the Mark I or the Mark II, depending on which sound you dial up. You can see here I have some compression and EQ on it. The samples in and of themselves are a little muddy. If you can see, I'll turn off the effects here, and you can kind of hear it has like a really deep low end to it, which sounds okay when I'm playing it right now, but in a live setting when it's mixed in with a bunch of other instruments, the Rhodes can tend to sound really muddy. And so I scooped out a lot of the low end here, kind of between 200K and 50K. It's a little bit of a thinner sound, but it takes some of the mud out and it really helps live. This is basically the sound I use for Where I Belong, Corey's song, or Jesus Let Me See Your Eyes. It's just a good basic road patch. Doesn't have a lot of attack to it, but it sounds nice in a more mellow song, and that's kind of my favorite context for it. Next plugin over here is Absynth, and right now I think I just have a basic kind of pad dialed up in it. And my favorite thing about Absynth is how easy it is to kind of mess with sounds. As you can see over here, they have different wave patterns, different envelopes, different LFO filters, which if you never use these, they can be a little daunting, but you can basically develop the sound any way you want. You can layer the patch a bunch of different ways. I think as far as kind of synths and pads, it's the best program if you're wanting something that you can really manipulate and create your own sound. On our newest Pas Neos album that's coming out in May, I do a lot in Absynth that you wouldn't know I did in Absynth because I just messed with it so much, and I really like that about it. And then I just have some effects down here that I leave open. Sometimes I'll save a effects chain so I can pull it in at any point if it's a specific song or cycle, but normally I just leave some of my favorites on there. I just have some gate, compression, and some EQ, reverb, and it creates kind of a nice glitchy kind of pad sound. And I mean, you can use those effects for a number of things, but I just kind of leave those on there so I can pull that in at any point. I just have two scenes of Absynth open just to pull up different sounds. I can layer them. Right now I have kind of this atmospheric, kind of distorted, real ambient sound. The sound in and of itself without all the effects is actually kind of plain, but with all the plugins it kind of gives it a nice atmosphere sound. So I really like Absynth. And then I have Orca over here, which is a free program I downloaded off FXpansion. I use this. It's just kind of a basic synth sine sound, but this is actually the sound I use for No One Else Can Love You. I combine it with just kind of a simple bell sound from Ableton. Just a few effects really gives it a nice original sound. And then the last one I have in my setup is Guru, which is where I make my beats. I'll do videos on this in the future, but for now I'll just kind of show you the basic interface, what it looks like. Just pull up whatever beat I had on there. And I'll normally make a beat kind of in Guru and then, maybe put some effects on it. And then I'll record it over here so I have the audio track. Turn that off, and now I have a loop that I can pull in at any point.